Okay, so I noticed on AMC Carmike's website an advertisement for a film that came out called Paul, comma, Apostle of Christ, which is translated in English almost every single one of his letters. Um, and I just had to check it out. I when I see a Christian film that's released that's supposedly based on the Bible or whatever, I always nitpick the crap out of it because they always go based on the mainstream beliefs that usually have absolutely no truth or proof behind them. So I haven't seen the film, but I did read the description on this website. Their faith challenged an empire. That's actually a very nice tagline. It's kind of true, because the Rome was afraid that Yahusha, aka Jesus and his apostles, would raise up an army to overthrow them. So that's accurate. I actually like that. That's a very good tagline. And then the description is Paul, apostle of Christ, is the story of two men. Luke, as a friend and physician, risks his life when he ventures into the city of Rome to visit Paul. Now, this is the mainstream belief that has very little proof. The Acts of the Apostles does have the we chapters, especially when Paul and the author of Acts, who's not named, by the way, the author of Acts and the Gospel of Luke never names himself. That's strike one and two, because read it. Read the Gospel of Luke and the book of Acts. Yes, it sounds or seems or appears to have been written by the same person, but the name is never given. Paul never says I was with Luke. He does in one of his letters. I think it's Second Timothy, 2 Timothy as I call it, but you guys call it Second Timothy, but I call it 2 Timothy. And it says only Luke is with me. But we don't really know much about this Luke guy, and the books never, none of the Gospels ever say the name of the author. So they're going based on tradition, which tradition in Mark 7, I believe, it says you've set aside the word of God for your tradition and you do many things like that. Um, this is an inaccuracy because we have absolutely no proof that a Luke traveled with Paul. Um, or during the book of Acts time, which I'm certain this covers, and the Nero Empire, which takes place, I believe, after Acts. I could be wrong. Depends on when you date the book of Acts, because it could be before Nero, during Nero, or during Nero and a little bit after. It just depends. Nobody can ever really agree. 70 A.D. is the traditional date of Paul's death, and we have absolutely no proof to it. 70 to 74, absolutely no proof how he died because it's never recorded. And it says, but Nero, hang on, sorry. To visit Paul, who is being held captive in Nero's darkest, bleakest prison cell. We don't know if he was in Nero's prison cell. Another inaccuracy. But Nero is determined to rid Rome of Christians. Okay, that's most people would agree with that. And does not flinch from executing them in the grittiest ways possible. That's true. Before Paul's death sentence can be enacted, Luke resolves to write another book, one that details the beginnings of the way and the birth of what will be known as the church. Church, inaccurate term. Church was used by pagans, and it's defined as by Christians now is the house of God, but that is not accurate at all, because church is actually has been, like I said, has been used by pagans for thousands of years, and at least 1,000 years before Christianity, and it meant house of the lords. Multiple. They were what is it? They believed in multiple gods, thousands of gods. Some of them believed in thousands of gods. So church is another inaccurate term. It's another traditional mainstream term that people will not. They're stuck in their faith. They will not take a different answer. They will not take the truth. They will say, I was raised to call it church. Thousands of pastors have been calling it church for thousands of years. Yeah, well, if thousands of people jumped off a bridge, that analogy, would you do it? Probably. Most people would. So there is, like I said, they do it in such a way, and here's some promo pictures in case some of you are still interested in seeing it. Um, they do it in such a way where they weave in false information, lies with the truth, and that's a great majority of Christianity anyway. Is lies with the truth. Um, so a lie, even with parts of the truth in it, is still a lie. Um, so this film, if you're looking for accuracy, you're going to get partial accuracy. The Nero part about him executing Christians in the grisliest ways possible, and a gospel and the book of Acts being written, but by Luke, we don't know. And Paul being a historical figure can kind of be like, if we go based on the bounds of the Bible, and if we say like most of the Bible is correct, like Paul was really an apostle, and things like that, then yes. But a lot of people, some people doubt that a Paul existed, a Paul Saul existed. A lot of people doubt a lot of things in the Bible. But if we go based on that, then yes, Paul is in the accurate time period almost. We don't know about the Nero time period, how long he lived exactly. Nero, a historical figure. Luke, unknown. But by Christian tradition, yeah, he was a historical figure. Going to more of these, going to the promo images just to kind of get a feel for this. It looks nice, nicely colored, nicely lit. Looks like natural light, maybe false light. Maybe they're in front of a green screen. I have no idea. Like the bokeh, like the blurriness. Period accurate hair, I would say. Because this is like one of the most common Roman haircuts, according to my history books and articles that I've seen in images and sculptures when I was in my art class doing the Roman period with the art and culture teacher, actually. Accurate beard. Pretty accurate. Not every Hebrew had a beard like this, but a vast majority of devout ones did, such as when they took oaths. I don't know who this guy is. If he's Paul, Paul did shave his head in the book of Acts, but also the Bible, the law also says to not shave the corners of your head, but also it says to take an oath and you have to shave your head. And the prophet Job also did that as well in the book of Job. Someone's going to say it's Job. It's Job. But even J is an inaccurate name, because our letter J usually replaced most letter Y's in Hebrew. So it would be more like Yab or Yakab or Yakov, something like that. Accurate beard. Probably an accurate look, but I can't tell if he's white or tan. If they do the all white thing for Hebrews, I don't know about Romans. Some Romans were tan. I mean, it was hot. It was hot there. Most of them would be tan or black. Hebrews. Romans, I believe, were white. Not entirely certain. This guy might be Luke, or he might be Luke. Luke would probably be younger. I don't know. Depending on the time period. If this is early Acts, that would be Paul, because Paul was called a young man. A young man named Saul in Acts, around chapter 10 or 11. This could be Luke. Luke might... I don't know. I really don't know. They're in jail. Paul was in jail a whole bunch. Again, same kind of like picture. Again, same kind of picture. Okay, this has got to be Paul. I'm just feeling it's Paul. And they made Luke young just because. Even though there's no proof to determine Luke's age either. Luke was a doctor. Physician or whatever, as they claim in the letter. We don't know. It's pretty cool. He looks like he's at the end of his life or seeing the end of the world. A revelation. Blurry picture, can't really tell. Don't know who these three are. Probably going to say it's Mary Magdalene. No idea. Back in the cell again. And that picture again. So all in all, if you're looking for historical, it's got a 7.0 out of 10 on IMDb. Mess up the rating, but whatever. The reviews, I'm kind of interested. Usually you will get people on these types of films. You'll get people that actually are like me and actually have researched the period that will tear it apart. But then you'll get mostly Christians that give it an automatic. So it's okay. You'll get Christians that give it an automatic 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, like a really good one. So Roma, 67 AD. It's in the 67 AD period, which is, pretty close to the book of Acts. We can give it that. After the great fire that burnt part of the city. Okay, I don't remember that being mentioned. Might have been alluded to in the book of Romans, when some people claim that Paul referenced the fall of the Jerusalem temple We have no proof. Emperor Nero appoints Paul, a Jesus follower, as guilty, Yahusha follower, as guilty of the fire. Okay. Arresting him and taking him to Mamertine prison. The Gospel of Peter actually has Peter saying that him and his brothers were found guilty of the fire of Rome. Gospel of Peter, how accurate? Have no idea. But it looks like they're taking like kind of influence from that. And there's another movie where this was mentioned again and saying that Paul was there. I just don't remember. It was old. There, Prefect Meritius, something like it. Just depends how you pronounce the Tius. Struggles between his daughter Celia, just depends, who suffers an unknown disease, and his job as warden of the prison commanded by own Nero, okay, that he considers as a failure on his military career. Despite the risks for the Christians, physician and medicine man Luke arrives Roma from Greece islands to find Paul. Who wrote this? Living in the house of Aquila and Priscilla. Okay, they're mentioned in Acts, but who knows where Paul and Luke were living. It just says that Paul, I think it said Paul stayed with them for like a day or two or something. 2 former Romans turned in Christians that use their home as shelter for others, Roman Christians, to save them from Nero's soldiers, who kill all Christians they find, torturing and using them as human candles to light Roma's streets at night. Okay, that is accurate according to some historical sources, that they were lit on fire and crucified. Some also say that they were inside of Nero's temple or his palace or whatever, and he lit his hallways with them and his courtyard with them while they were alive, and the moans were like music to his ears, and he played his ukulele or his lyre or something like that. So that's pretty accurate. Again, Max, you're weaving the truth with lies. You're taking creative liberties. If you wanna say, oh, we believe everything in the Bible, then don't add to it. You're adding stuff that did not happen. You're being guilty. You're lying. You're misleading people. But this part is pretty accurate. After realizing that Paul is in Mamertina, Luke gets access to the jail and meets Paul, who accepts Luke's request to tell his biography to be known. Writing it in a new book about gospel, and yeah, I'm not going to finish because he can't speak English. And it had a budget of $5 million, and it's made $5,172,585. Wow. And then gross in the U. Okay. 25th. Oh, okay. So it's made its budget back. I don't remember it being advertised anywhere. And Jim Caviezel, and I believe he played Yahusha in The Passion of the Christ, the first time was in Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ, where, yep, so he's back in it if you want to see him. Oh my gosh. Paul Teasdale. Okay, here we go. Let's see some review. Okay. It was refreshing to see a movie that really made you think. This movie was well done and acting was excellent. It gave me a feeling of how much the Christians were treated in Rome. It would have been terrible to be a Christian in those times. And he just cut his review off. I don't know why it okay. Can we get... See all my reviews. Review this time. Here we go. I'm an idiot. I clicked the wrong thing. 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Here we go. Poignant. I ran this thing because I don't know if any movie more than this one did. It's not perfect. Okay, he said it's not perfect. Then don't give it a 10 out of 10. Give it a 9 out of 10. Good movie. Recommend seeing. Well done. Where would Christians be without dedication of Paul the Apostle? More brutal than expel. Oh. Here we go, tips for parents. There are a lot of gruesome images of torture, deaths, bodies burning, and suffering. Oh my gosh, I'm almost surprised that this movie wasn't rated R because of so many brutal scenes. There's a lot of talking with not much action. Well, duh. Most children will be bored. It's definitely not a feel-good popcorn. Hate that term. Movie for fun Friday night. Hate that term too. It is, however, a thought-provoking film that will make you think and feel. So, wow. Things I didn't like. There's a lot of scenes in dark corners and dungeons, making it hard to see what's going on. There's also a lot of scenes with whispered conversations, making it hard to hear what's being said. The various accents were distracting. Characters spoke with British accents, French, American. I hate that. But it's really expensive to get like someone that actually speaks Hebrew and Greek and Latin. It's very hard, so I can't really say. Funny lines. Come eat. You must be starving. Aquila. John Lynch. If you're cooking, I don't know if I'm that hungry. Luke, Jim, because okay, so Jim Caviezel plays Luke instead of Yahusha. Quit your complaining, Luke DePaul. They're truly miserable days with the idea. That doesn't make any sense. How's it funny unless they were funnily delivered? The devil sneaks in darkness here. You know, okay. All men are a slave to something. This is where they add their own lines. They don't even stick to. I'm not even. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, important film. 7 out of 10, heavy movie with a great cast. Must see for Christians. 5 out of 10, but too talking, myopic. Okay, so a very uplifting story. We're getting positives and negatives. Missed opportunity, agonizing to watch, very disappointed. I expected more with a decent review. I agree. Another review that focuses more on Luke. I expected the movie to focus on the glory miracles of Paul's life. Instead, the movie focuses on the suffering and is not a good representation of the Apostle Paul. Hammy acted movie. Boring, but okay. At least no fiddling around here. Hammy acting. Okay. So, we've seen the accuracies. We've seen the inaccuracies. Again, you know, what more can you ask for from a Christian film that just wants to make money?